Okay, so let me share my screen. Can everybody see my screen okay? Yep, okay, cool. So as you can see, they left an example of how to use the add event listener. So if we use this properly, it's the sample button, you click it, you should get an alert. And that's basically what an add event listener is. So we're gonna start with step 1. I'm going to ask you guys to kind of walk me through. I'm going to go step by step, but I'm going to have you guys tell me how to do this. So you're going to navigate me and I'm going to drive, which is kind of a way people pair program. So I'm going to try this. So for step 1, select the container and the button elements. How would I start this out? Declare a variable. Okay. Now, when declaring a variable, am I using const or am I using let? Let, correct. So let me do that. So let, I'm just going to call it container document. And then let. All right, for step 2, use the method add event listener on the button element, listening for a click event. So would I use let for this, or would I just use the element name that I've given it? Element name, okay. Correct. Okay, so add event listener. So click. Now I'm going to do it the arrow function way, as above and as Gannon explained earlier. Now, whoop, oh, it's not needed for this one, this part. My bad. I occasionally will do that. Mess up, because that is not needed for this moment. But for step 3 is where I'll use this. So what background color should I make this? Okay. I see magenta first, so I'll make it magenta. All right, and if this all goes well, this should work, which it does. Perfect. So far, so good. So yes, it does work. So for step 5, we're using the mouse enter event. So what's the difference between just a click event and a mouse event, enter event? Can someone explain that to me? You guys are correct. It's the hovering effect compared to just clicking something. So container. Okay, for step 6, use the event object and the callback, change the background color and the border color of the container. So I'm going to set this up. As I did before. Now, how do I call 2 different colors? Is it going to override each other, or is it going to work one after the other? If that makes sense. Two separate lines, that's correct, Erin. Cascade, correct, Greg. Okay, so you guys are understanding that, so that is good. I'm just gonna make this purple. So if I hover over this, this should work, which it does, so great. So you guys are understanding things so far. So before I continue on to step 7, are you guys understanding this so far? Yes, perfect. A lot of you are understanding. That's good. And please do write down questions that you have any. Okay, so for reverse the color change, so what's the difference between a mouse enter and a mouse leave? Can you guys tell me that? Okay, cool. You guys are understanding the difference between the two. Good job. So let me set this up. I'm just going to change it back to white. So if we hover and unhover, that works proper, but it does not change the border, which was not specified. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, but if you didn't, that's okay. So it should work, just back to normal. Cool. All right, so we have gone steps 1 through 7, because step 8 is finishing the section on stop propagation, so I will go over that with you guys. But before I go over that, is there any questions so far? Event.target is the same thing as calling container. You're just calling the event on the container element itself, like what you have it tagged as. I don't think I'm explaining this well enough. One of your, hey, PMs, can you explain that better than I just did? Oh, please raise your hand. Yes, Greg, that is correct. Yes, it is because the container is the event target. Yes, that is correct. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and move on to stop propagation. Let me share my screen again on this. Okay, so down in stop propagation. Okay, so to prevent event handlers happening, just bubbling up the stream, they have a thing called stop propagation, which stops it from bubbling up to other things that you don't want it to do. So like if you didn't want, when you clicked the button, you didn't want the whole container, the div container around the button to also change colors when you did that. So that's a way stop propagation is used to prevent that from happening. I believe I'm doing this right. But have you guys read the training kit? Like, have you read this part of stop propagation? Didn't understand how to use it. Okay. It's too confusing. All right. Okay. So it does, so this line right here kind of explains what stop propagation is. The event object has a lot, event objects has a lot of methods and properties on it, including one called stop propagation. If we call this method in our event handler, it'll effectively stop our event from bubbling any further up the chain, which is what I kind of just explained. So do you guys have questions on this real fast that we can answer? The chain is like previous commands you've already done. So if you clicked that button, how it changes blue, it doesn't, like if you were to change another element, it doesn't change the button with it. Can I give an example? Yes, let me go. Can you guys see the project? Yes, okay, cool. Yes, let's just go through this part together then. I was gonna let you guys do this on your own, but it seems like a lot of you are struggling with this, so I will do this. Okay, so we need to make a click. So what kind of click event should I make on this container? Alert? Okay, I saw alert, so I will do alert. So okay. Alert. New. Okay, so that should work. So yep, okay, cool. Notice how the container click also event. Okay, click the button. Notice how the container click event also triggers. Yes, so it's that stop propagation is basically stopping from one of these happening at the same time. Okay, so the button. Not that even, let's start sound. Should be that. Ryan, yeah, okay. Let me unmute you. Unmute. Okay, Ryan, you're unmuted.
Okay, so go ahead and scroll up to our existing button event listener, the click me. Let's see, what do we have for that button event listener? We're changing the background color. Okay, go ahead and throw event.stop propagation in that.
In this?
Yes.
Okay. I was doing this wrong. Okay. Where is this at? Right here. So
Yep.
right after this?
Yeah, either way. Nope. We want to stop the event.
Stop the event. Okay.
So event dot.
Event dot, right. Okay. Do I need the parentheses?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Okay. Now make sure that's running, and then when we click there, we don't get the alert. But if we click the container, we get the alert.
Okay.
And that's stop propagation.
That's stop propagation. Do you guys understand how Ryan just explained that? Yes. Okay. All right. Well, then I'm going to give you guys about 5 minutes to finish the rest of that on your own. And then we'll come back together. All right, guys, how's everybody feeling about the second half of that project? Good, you guys are understanding stop propagation now? Perfect. Do you guys have, so far from what we've gone over, do you guys have any questions on this? I do have another code pin we will be going through, but before we get started, I just want to see if you guys have any questions first. No, no questions. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the next one. I'm gonna make sure you guys can see my screen okay. Okay. All right, so this, Josh Nell, if you guys don't know, Josh Nell is a full-time instructor here of Lambda. He does this stuff for full-time. So he made this for us to go through. So we're gonna go kind of go step by step and everything what we just went over, just again in a different project. But there is HTML. I will share this link with you guys, do not worry. There is HTML and CSS that we're just not gonna touch. And then this is your guys' first time seeing a form. You guys will see it later, but do any of my PMs want to explain the input text stuff? Okay. Need someone to. Do any of you PMs understand how to explain this well enough? Or any students? Okay. Carlos, everybody's choosing you, so I'm going to choose you. You are now. I believe you're unmuted now.
Okay, so what do you want me to go over?
The input stuff for forms, like explaining that, because that's gonna be something we're gonna be choosing.
Okay, so for the input forms, these can actually get pretty tricky for a lot of developers. And the reason being is mostly like styling and input. Like a lot of it is just difficult for you to be able to target. But every basic input form usually has kind of the same stuff. So you'll have the, as you see on line 22, you have a opening tag for a form. And then inside you just have a few elements. So you have your label, and your label, all it really is kind of like a header tag to your actual input form or your input field. And then from there you have a actual input tag. And the input tag is like, if you look on the code pen, it's where the little Mickey thing is. So that's what the input is. And so when a user needs to type on a field, you'll use either an input or you can use a text area. And in a lot of cases, you'll give it a class name or an ID, something that you can basically grab with your query selection. And then when you're looking at the value on there, it says mouse or Mickey. So basically that's the value that you're giving the input field. And so when you're going to be interacting with the DOM element, you're going to be targeting that value in order to change it to either what the user is putting in there or what you are putting in there. So with that said, there are a few other things that you can add to this. Like, you don't actually need a label, but it's nice to have because it's semantic, and so it's easier for the browser to read it. And normally I would put a submit event handler on the actual form, but you can also have like a button if you want to be able to submit something just by pressing a button. But essentially you can have the form and just an input if you just want to simplify it. Does anybody have any questions about that? I see a few people typing. You don't need PHP. PHP is more of a backend language, but if you were to want to do something simple like have like an email type of function, when a user submits something, you wanted to send out an email, you could use PHP for that. But essentially you could use just normal JavaScript in order to actually take that user's input and do something with it. Let's see, is it better to use input type submit or button? It honestly depends. If you want to make the input your submit, you would be able to do that so that you can just hit enter to submit it. If you put it on a button, then they would have to press the button in order to submit the information, and the hitting enter on the actual input might not work. A lot of times people, especially like if you're going into React, it's usually a lot better to just put it on the actual form. All right, next question. On the label 4, what goes inside of that? That is a semantic area label. So if you actually look up area labels, what those are is they help screen readers identify what the tag is. And so when the, if you remember back to your semantic HTML, they went down the list of the stuff that the screen readers actually use in order to identify what everything is. And so that's one of those. In frameworks and libraries like React, they'll have similar names for it. So it'll be, instead of the 4, it'll just be like HTML4, but essentially it does the same thing. So yeah, accessibility. Yes, Wilfred, better event handling. All right, not a problem, Jonathan. Anything else? All right, so Robert asks, so does the input label create the actual text entry field, or does that get created in a CSS? So the label, what that does is it creates that first name field that you see above the actual input. And then if you go into line 21, where it says input class first name and a whole bunch of other stuff, right where it says value Mickey, that's what's inside of the actual input field. Does that answer your question? Awesome. See a few more people type in. No chance you can't get a shout out.
Yes, great. I will get this CodePen link for you guys.
All right, so essentially an input field is just a way that you can have a user interact with your website in a way where they can just type something in. So anytime that you would think of a form, whether it's a registration field or a login field, or just if they want to make a post or something on a social media site, they would use either a input field or a text area field. Labs is going great. Thank you for asking.
Thank you, Carlos.
All right.
All right, guys, so we're gonna get back into this. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this a little. I'm gonna start with the button. So reviewing a click event. So we're gonna do this work with us button. So how would I select that button? You guys want to remember how to do that? Query selector. Yes, query selector is correct, Robert. So let Okay, what kind of click event do we want it to do? Do we want it a console one? Do we want a alert? Do we want it to change colors? What do people want for that? Alert. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of alerts, so I'll make an alert for it. So if that worked properly, this should work. Nope, I did not click something right. What am I doing wrong? My example? What example, Chance? Oh, run it. Oh, okay. I'll try that. All right. Ah, needed to save. Teach me things. Okay, so for the next one, it's stop propagation. So how would I do stop propagation, guys? Yes, Jonathan Daly, you are correct. Which is correct. Okay. So next, I'm going to choose the first name field. So I'm going to scroll down so I see last name. Okay, let me think about how I want to do this real fast. Okay. Greg, you are correct. That is the way to do that. But instead of const, let's use let. Okay, so we selected it. Now, let's change the border color so we know it is working properly. So blue for the color. So, okay, that should work. Cool, perfect. So we know that's working. Now to showcase propagation, which is what happens when you don't use stop propagation. is I can make two console logs happen. So I figure, yes. Okay, so for the target, I'm gonna think how I want to do this. Chance, do you want to walk me through this? Chance, you're gonna walk me through this. I'm gonna unmute you. All right, you are unmuted, Chance. So how should I do this?
Awesome. I'd like to preface this with I did not sign up for this. So set attribute. Tyler, will you guys this? Have we gone through using set attribute as opposed to the other ways of doing that? Like,
so instead of first name, make it set attribute?
No. So can I share my screen?
Yes. May share your screen.
Cool. Okay. Is it sharing? It's not showing the lines.
I'm looking at tabs.js.
Okay, that's someone's project. You guys, yeah, I'm using I have like 100 tabs open.
Yeah, we're still just in your terminal. I don't think you're sharing the right screen.
Now, do you see a internet?
Yes, we see launch.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you see like, hello, Tyler?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Okay, so we were going over how to you threw me on the spot. I'm super. This is a lot of.
Well,
what did you want me to go over? Sorry, like just.
How to do the show two different propagations happening at the same time.
Propagations. What did I say? I said set attribute. Oh no. Okay, so I'll go over set attribute. Right. So set attribute is a method that you can use on, I believe, a DOM element. So when you grab a DOM element like this, like document.getElement by tag name, there's obviously various things you could use here that are going to give you return a DOM element. And then on that, you can do set attribute. And what that does is basically the first parameter that you pass in to that method is the name of the attribute. And then the second thing you pass in after a comma is the value of that attribute. So, I mean, that's really simple. Really quick. Okay, I'll try to do something kind of cool. Or not, it's not cool at all, but it's silly. So this will, hopefully this makes the, I'm gonna try to be like Josh for a second. So we'll look at pictures of bananas, right? Copy image address. And then I hope, Tyler, this is what I was trying to explain, and you called me, so I'm just going to explain the thing that I was trying to explain. So I don't know if this is exactly what we were covering, but I think it's still useful regardless,
yeah.
Right? So we can open our console on this website, which we're on Imgur, which is a cool place to get images, right? And say we want to grab all of the image tags. So we'll do like const images equal, and then we'll grab all of our images. Just clear sector all image tags, right? And then let's just print out images, see what that is. So it's a node list of 129 different nodes. And that should be all the images we have. They could be a little bit different, so they're not all actually image tags, but let's see. So we'll do images.set attribute. And then right here we put what the tag is. So it's the I guess I don't know how comments work in console. Sorry. So like this would normally be, there'd be a source tag, right? It'd be like source equals something com, right? And that's like your source tag usually. So we're going to change that attribute because source src is an attribute of the MIG tag, which is the image tag. So image.set images, actually, sorry. This might not work actually at first because we have to do like a for each loop. So let's just see how it works. And we'll set it to that. And that didn't work. Set attribute is not a function. Array.from. So do we need to use, like, do we need to set it to all of them? So let's see, images dot for each, right? Because we're image. Cool. So, yeah, you guys have all gone through what like for each loop does, right? So it's basically a for loop. It's just taking this image, or it's going through the array of images, and then whatever you want to call this, right? We just called it image to make things make a little sense, because it's each image in the images array, and then for each image, we're doing this set attribute thing, and this is the attribute that we're setting, and then this is the value that we're setting it to. And we set it all to that picture of bananas. So now we just have a giant website full of bananas. So yeah, this is how I use my internet. I just look at bananas all day. But cool. Tyler, did I explain anything that you wanted me to explain? I honestly am a little confused. So.
Not really, but it was pretty cool. Little tangent to know about.
Cool. Yeah. So I hope everyone learned a little bit. I'm gonna recommend Carlos teaches the next portion again, because it'd be fun to watch him do it. So go ahead and mute me, and I will shut up. And
okay. Yeah. I just want to say I like your sleeping dog right behind you.
There's a dog sleeping. Oh, Kendrick. Okay. Yeah.
All right, I will mute you, and I will continue on. Thank you, Chance. Everybody say thank you, Chance. All right, I'm going to continue going through what we were doing. Okay, so to target is what you are currently actively clicking, so which would be this. So I'm going to do event at target at console log. I think this is how you do it properly. Am I doing this right? Hold up. Let me see. Am I doing this right? Hope you guys. Nope. Okay. Doing it a little bit wrong. So just give me a second here, guys. Okay. Instead of event.target right there, it's just console.log. This clicked input. And then a little special syntax here, which is event.target. And that should work. So if I pull up the console, save this and click it, no, that did not work. Let's see here. Okay. Add period to the class name. Oh, yes. Thank you, Carlos. Okay, this should hopefully work now, maybe? No? Okay. Okay. I've got a solution, so I'm figuring out what I'm doing wrong here. Um, okay. Do any of you possibly have a solution for this? Because I'm feeling really hard. Turn it off and then back on again. Thanks, Carlos. Okay, hold on. Sim control. Well, this is what you get live. It's a typo? Well, this is an equals, guys. Because that works. Oh, there, it worked! Eventually. So I got that to work. Somehow. Okay. So that happened when that happened. Because this is because I'm not stopping propagation before when I click to have the blue option. So if we did it again, hopefully this works. Clicked again, which is event.current target. I think that is correct. Oh, capital T. Okay, let me save and let me run, and they should both happen at, so they all three happen at the same time. So that's what happens when you don't use stop propagation. Did that make sense now that I got it working properly? That when you click, everything happens at once without stop propagation. Still looks lowercase? I thought I didn't. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so yes, it worked. Got undefined for some reason, but I'm missing a T. Oh, I am. Thank you, guys. Typos. They are a thing that happen. Very much so. Okay, let's try this again. Let me clear this. So, okay, see, it works. So does this make sense, what I just went over, as I debugged it a little? Yeah, okay. No, Louis. Lewis, can you be more specific on what you don't understand so I can go over that? You watched the video? Okay. Does anybody have any questions right now or anything they want me to go over again? Okay. Well, okay, so I gave you guys this CodePen linked, so do you guys have this? Yes. Please resend it. Yeah, I can resend it for you guys. So here is this one. I also have the solution for this. Would you guys like that as well, or not? Yes, yeah, okay. The solution is done by Josh Nell, so it is a little bit different from what I've done. I kind of try to simplify it some. But if you're interested in knowing how Josh does it, this is how he does it. If you want to practice around with this one, make sure you do fork this as well, so don't work on it on the main one. And yes, David, actually, this is all I had for you guys today, so I'm just seeing if you guys have any questions. Otherwise, I can go ahead and end the lecture. So are there any questions before I let you guys go for the night? My day was good, Dustin. Thank you for asking. I was in labs as well. And yes, Steve, you're now ready for project time. Yes, Chance. So Saturday, guys, there is going to be no peer code review. It is going to just be project time, since it's kind of a little bit of a different lecture kind of tonight. You will still have stand-ups Saturday as well, but no peer code review that day. My favorite Pokemon, probably not the best answer I'm going to say, but I don't like Pokemon. So, um, yes, I'm not a fan of Pokemon, unfortunately. I've never heard of Digimon. The Digimon, whatever that is. Yeah. Yeah. You're welcome, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording.